All right, everybody. Now what we're going to do is work on calculating the break-even point for a company. So with break-even analysis, there's different methods. There's the equation and the formula method. I already told you I'm not going to use the equation method. I'm going to focus on the formula method. I think you'll agree it's easier, it's short, sweet, simple. You can have the equation right in front of you, pop in the numbers, and boom, there goes your answer. So we're going to use racing bicycle once again for all of our calculations. So the first thing we're going to learn is how do we get unit sales and break even? Well, unit sales and break even is fixed costs over the CM per unit. So it's easy to remember the formula because in order to get the answer in units, you divide by the unit CM. So our fixed costs would be the 80,000. And our CM per unit, you should have it memorized by now, I would think, is 200. And that's where we get our $400, 400 units answer. We already knew it was 400 because we had seen it before, but this is how you could very quickly arrive at that number. Why does this work? Because whatever happens to CM happens to profit. And when our CM equals our fixed cost, profits will be zero. So that's what this formula is figuring out. It's how many units do we need to sell to make sure fixed cost and fixed cost and CM are the same, so profit would be zero. So we take our fixed cost of 80 divided by our CM per unit of 200, and we get our answer in units. Now we can multiply that by 500, the selling price per unit, to get our answer in dollars, which would also be 200,000. So that's one way to do it. If we have the answer in units, simply multiply by our selling price and get the answer in dollars. So we could get it in dollars either using the equation method or formula method. We're not going to use the equation method. We focus on the formula method. So we can either take our answer in units and multiply it by the selling price, as I already did, or we can use this formula, fixed cost divided by the CM ratio. So when we divide by the CM per unit, we get the answer in units, but when we divide by the CM ratio, we're going to get the answer in dollars. So if we take the 80,000 fixed cost and we divide it by the CM ratio, which, if you remember back, was 40%, that's going to get us the answer in dollars, which is 200,000. Now, I already calculated that back here. I had the answer in units. I multiplied by the selling price, and that gave me the answer in dollars of 200. But we could get it directly by taking the fixed cost and dividing by the CM ratio. So let me erase this so you can see the beautiful typed version. And there's the calculation and the answer. I could go backwards if I wanted it in units, simply by dividing by the selling price. And lo and behold, there's my 400 units. So you need to understand how to get the answer in dollars and in units. The way you get it in units is divide by the CM per unit. The way you get it in dollars is divide by the CM ratio. But once you have either one, you can always go to the other. What I mean by that is once I have the answer in sales dollars, I can divide by the selling price to get the answer in units. If I have the answer in units, I can multiply by the selling price to get the answer in dollars. And at this point, you're probably thinking, oh, so much to memorize. No, there isn't, because you just got to think it through. If I told you you buy 400 units of something and each one costs $500 and said, how much did you spend? You'd know to just multiply. Likewise, if I said you went to the store and spent 200 grand on items costing 500 a pop, how many items did you buy? You'd be able to figure out to divide. So don't forget common sense rules in this class. Think things through logically and you'll arrive at the answer, even if you're freaking out and forget a formula. So let's go back to our friends at Coffee Klatch. Coffee Klatch is an espresso stand in a downtown office building. The average selling price is $1.49, variable cost 36 cents, fixed cost $1,300. Currently selling 2,100 cups. We want the break even in sales dollars. So give the video a pause and try to calculate the answer in sales dollars. And welcome back. Hopefully you said, well, to get the answer in sales dollars, I'm going to take my fixed cost divided by my CM percentage. And the fixed costs are 1,300. The CM percentage we have to calculate. So the CM percentage is the CM, which would be the selling price of $1.49 minus the variable cost of 36 divided by the $1.49. And I'm pretty sure we calculated that together in our previous coffee clutch problem, and it was 0.7 something, but I'm going to redo it now. So 149 minus 0.36 divided by 149 gives me 0.758. If we pop that in, 1,300 divided by 0.758 is 17.15. So we'll have to sell $1,715 worth of coffee in order to break even. Now, the next question wants to know how many units. Well, I already figured the dollars were $17.15. So if I divide by the $1.49 selling price, I can get my answer quickly. And I get 1,151. So the closest answer is D, 1150. If I do it out using the formula for break even in units, I'm going to take my fixed costs, which are 1,300, divided by the CM per unit, which would be the 149 selling price minus the 36-cent variable costs. And when I do out that work, 1,300 divided by the CM per unit comes out to $1.13. I get 1150. Now, technically, I'm going to argue that the book is wrong because I really got 1150.44. So my answer from before is a better answer, because if we sell 1,150 units, we're technically going to lose a tiny bit of money. So whenever you're dealing with break even in the real world, you always want to round up, because you can't sell 0.44 of a coffee. So you want to round up, because if you round down, then you're going to end up losing a tiny bit of money. I'd rather get or make a little bit of money. Again, close enough, but I just want you to understand that if we were only sell 1,150 cups, we'd actually lose some change. So it wouldn't quite be break even, and that's just because of rounding. Here it is all calculated nice and pretty like, but you arrive at the same answer. And again, if I already have the answer in dollars, I think it's just a lot easier to divide by the selling price and get the answer in units, rather than go through and recalculate it with the break-even formula. So it all depends on the variables given in the problem, what you already know, and that will help determine how you solve the problem. But the choice is yours. With a multiple choice quiz or exam, you could do it any damn way you want, and as long as you get the right answer, that's all that really matters. So choose what you're more comfortable with. Now, we don't always want to break even. That shouldn't be our long-term goal. Like, oh, I want to go into business and make nothing. I don't think anybody's going to Shark Tank and telling their investors they're the sharks that their big goal is to make zero. Obviously, we want to eventually be able to jump over that hurdle of break even and make some money. Good news is we can use the formulas we just learned to figure out how many units or what level of sales are needed in order to achieve a particular profit. So all we have to do is add target profit to the formulas we just learned. So in our numerator, instead of just having fixed costs, we're going to have the fixed costs plus the profit that we want to obtain in order to calculate the number of units or the dollar sales to achieve that level of profit. So for RBC, if they want to make 100 grand, what we would do is take the 100 grand that they want. I'm going to do it up here. Plus the fixed cost of 80 divided by the CM per unit of 200. And that would tell me that in order for them to achieve this goal, they're going to need to sell 900 units. So if they sell 900 units, then they're going to make 100 grand. Why? Well, let me show you. Remember, break even was 400 units for our friends over at RBC? The difference is 500 units. If I multiply that by my 200 CM per unit, there is your $100,000 in profit. Because remember, whatever happens to CM happens to profit. So by selling those extra 500 units, that's the extras here. By selling the extra 500 units above break even, we generate an extra 100 grand in CM, which is also our profit. We can get the same answer in sales dollars by multiplying our previous answer by the selling price or using that CM ratio in the denominator. So let's go back real quick. I got 900 units. The selling price is 500. So that means I'm going out on a limb here and I'm going to use my brain to do the math instead of my calculator, that I'd need to sell $450,000 worth of bikes to make it happen. If we use the formula here, you can see that indeed 450,000 is the answer I get by using the formula with the CM ratio in the denominator. Remember, when we want to get the answer in units, we divide by the unit CM. When we want the answer in sales dollars, we divide by the CM ratio. Let's go and visit our friends back at Coffee Klatch again. All the information is the same. It's saying use the formula method to determine how many cups of coffee. Use any method you want in order to achieve a target profit of $2,500 a month. So give it a pause and give it a go, and let's see what you get. I can tell you the answer's got to be above 1,150 cups because that was break even. So just logic, we know we got to be selling more than that break even amount. All right. Now that you gave it a go, let's see how you should have got that answer. So if I want target profit of $2,500 a month, I put that in my numerator along with my $1,300 fixed costs. I'm looking for the answer in units. So I want to divide by my CM per unit. I've done this out so many times. I know it's $1.13, but just in case, that's the selling price of $1.49. I don't know why random lines show up when I write, minus the variable cost of 36 cents. So you do that out, 2,500 plus 1,300 divided by $1.13 gives me 3,363, rounded up this time, so the book did it right. They rounded up to the nearest cup, so 3,363 would be the answer. That's how many units I need to sell in order to achieve that desired target profit. Now, the next answer is probably going to ask me, what's the answer in dollars? So even before we get to that, if I just multiply by $1.49, I get 5,010. 5011 rounding. So let's look. Here's the answer calculated out, all typed in nice and pretty for the answer in units. And lo and behold, this next question does in fact ask for the answer in dollars. And we got 5011, which is pretty close to B. But give it a pause and see if you can use the CM ratio to arrive at the answer. Alrighty, you should have taken your fixed cost of $1,300, added your target profit of $2,500, and then divided by your CM ratio. Remember, the CM percentage we previously calculated is $1.49 minus the 36 cents divided by the $1.49, which gives me 0.7 something. 0.758. And when I do out my math, 1,300 plus 2,500 divided by 0.758, I get 5013. Again, the reason it's a little different, we got 5011 by multiplying by units by the selling price. The reason we're $2 off is just rounding, because this 0.758 isn't really 0.758, it's 0.758 something, something, something. So when we round, we're going to be off a little bit. Here it is, all nice and pretty, 5013. Again, I really believe in going back and forth between them with the selling price. So here we go. I'm going to go backwards to get the answer in units. If I have the 5013 and I divide by the $1.49, I'm going to get the answer in units, 3,365 units. So you want to be able to understand that if I have the answer in dollars, I can convert it to units by dividing by the selling price. And if I have the answer in units, I can get it in dollars by multiplying by the selling price.